Hi everyone. Today will be our first flipped classroom video, and today I'm going to be going over the president's many jobs. So in your packet, I'd actually like everyone to turn to this page that they see. This will be where you will be collecting any notes that you will see from the PowerPoint. So please take a second and please open your executive branch packets to the roles and powers of the president. This worksheet that you see here. Okay, so today we're going to first start talking about the president's many jobs. He fulfills many different things within a day. He will make bills, or propose legislation. He'll have cabinet meetings. He will meet with his White House office. When he is doing different actions, he is fulfilling a role. We're going to today talk about the 7 roles that the president fulfills. The first one we're going to talk about is what I call the fun role. The fun role is what we call the chief of state. When he is acting as chief of state, he is the ceremonial head of government. He is the symbol of our nation. As I mentioned in class before, the president often acts like Mickey Mouse is to Disney World or the Golden Arches are to McDonald's. The chief of state role is where he's the symbol of our nation, where he represents the United States when he goes to different places. So he'll greet foreign leaders, he'll attend funerals, he'll even throw the opening pitch of opening day because baseball is America's pastime. And this is the chief of state role. So if it is anything where there is a gala, there is a dinner, he is acting as a ceremonial head of our government, and he is fulfilling the role of chief of state. Another role, the role that we mainly think of the president as, is the chief executive. And sometimes I even think of this as the CEO role. He is the boss. He's the hire and firer of our federal bureaucracy. He is the head of our national executive branch. We talked about the executive pyramid today, and he was at the top of our pyramid. As he's doing this, he's carrying out our nation's laws. Again, the executive branch's main job is to enforce and carry out those laws. He can also issue executive orders. These are where the president can make direct actions without making a formal law needed by Congress to approve. He also, as I said, is the CEO. He hires and fires. So this is where he would appoint any heads of cabinet members, so anybody in the department heads, the secretaries, or a federal judge. This could be a Supreme Court justice or just another federal judge. However, just as with any CEO or any head of government or head of branch of government, it's not going to be something that is done without checking. So the legislative branch will confirm all of his actions. The next one is chief legislator, and this is probably one you are most familiar with because this is what we've seen the president doing in the units of study. First of all, he is involved in the lawmaking process in many ways, even though he cannot actually draft a bill. First of all, he proposes legislation. We saw this when we watched the State of the Union address, and you can even see the picture below. The State of the Union address is where he advertises and says how he feels the condition of the country is how it's doing. He also says his goals for the upcoming year. In many ways, he is proposing legislation. He also prepares the federal budget. We talked a little bit about the Office of Management and Budget. This is a large part. We need to know where our money is going. Our executive branch is the carrying out part of our government. They know how much money we need to accomplish our tasks. So he will prepare the budget. Now again, we do need approval of that. So as you might guess, the legislative branch is the branch of government that would approve the presidential budget or the federal budget. And as we talked about with the lawmaking process, he approves or vetoes legislation. So he has the final say of whether or not a bill becomes law or a bill does not. However, if he does veto a bill may be overridden with a 2/3 vote. The next role is the commander-in-chief role. This is where the president is the head of the armed forces. He is in charge of the Army and the Navy and the Air Force. Even though he does this with the National Security Council, he is still the final say in all military matters. So when we have sent troops into Afghanistan or we have removed troops from Iraq, he is the one that's making those final orders of where our soldiers are. He is the commander-in-chief, and this is one of the constitutional responsibilities the president has. On the same kind of level with our foreign matters, our president is also the chief diplomat. We think of this as the architect of foreign policy. If you think about the term architect, we often think about the idea of a builder. So the president is constantly building our relationships with foreign countries. This can be through treaties, maybe trade treaties or trade agreements, but this could also be with peace treaties or other sorts of agreements between other countries. He'll also appoint ambassadors. Again, as your vocabulary words say, ambassadors are people that represent countries around the world and represent our United States. So the United States has U.S. ambassadors in many, many countries. These people represent U.S. interests in those countries and are mainly responsible for letting us know how our relationships are going. As chief diplomat, the president would work very closely with the Secretary of State and the State Department. We're almost done. The next two roles, one is the chief of party. Now, as I said, the chief of state role earlier in the presentation is our fun role. So you try not to get these confused. When we're talking about chief of party, we're not talking about the galas and the dinners and the formal events. We're talking about chief of party is the head of the political party, helps unite the political party and give it direction. It also supports members in campaigns. You'll often see the president going to local states or states of his hometown or home state to support candidates of that same party. Also, it's a big money raiser if you can include the president on your campaign ticket. So oftentimes the president will help raise campaign funds for whichever office is happening. And again, the president and the party and the House majority parties in both houses are the same party. They're often to be more united and give more direction to the country's directional policies. And the last role. The last role is what we call chief citizen. Chief citizen is a role where the president is more of a role model for our country. He is a symbol of our nation, but he's kind of representing our country. And we've seen this a lot in more recent presidents. They've taken on a lot of humanitarian aspects. So, for example, President Obama will work at or volunteer at a soup kitchen. He's fulfilling his civic responsibilities. He's kind of leading the way. So they'll highlight the president doing a voting on election day, or volunteering at a soup kitchen, or doing AIDS relief in Africa. So you will see the president taking on responsibilities and helping others to kind of give us the leadership that we expect from our leaders. And again, this was a video that kind of went over all the roles. We're going to spend a lot more time with this. And please make sure that you have filled in your worksheet that you were working on before, this one right here. All the blanks were filled in through the PowerPoint. And there's one more thing I'd like you to do before you go. In your packet, you will also see a page that looks like this. This page, I'd like you to read these statements, and I'd like you to determine which role the president is acting in when he is fulfilling that action. We will go over all of this work once everyone has finished. And please feel free to watch this video as many times as you wish, and I hope you enjoyed our first flipped classroom experience.